of the Beaumont children. Jane, Anna, and Grant Beaumont lived with their parents. Grant Jim Beaumont, a former serviceman and driver for suburban taxis, and Nancy Beaumont Ellis, who had married in December 1955. Their house was at 109 Harding Street, Somerton Park, a suburb of Adelaide, South Australia, not far from Glenelg Beach, a popular spot that the children and many others at the height of the surf music era often visited. On the 25th of January, in the midst of a summer heatwave, Jim dropped the children off at Glenelg Beach before heading off on a 3-day sales trip to Snowtown. On the morning of the 26th of January 1966, the children asked their mother to visit Glenelg Beach again. As it was too hot to walk, they took a 5-minute, 3-kilometer bus journey from their home to the beach. They caught the bus at 8:45 a.m. and were expected to return home on the 12 o'clock noon bus. Nancy became worried, however, when the children did not return on either the 12 o'clock or 2 p.m. buses, and when Jim returned home early from his trip around 3 p.m., he immediately drove to the crowded. Unable to locate the children, he returned and together they searched the streets and visited friends' houses. Around 5:30 p.m., they went to the Glenelg police station to report the disappearance. Police quickly organized a search of Glenelg Beach and adjacent areas, based on the assumption that the children were nearby and had simply lost track of time. The search then expanded to the sand hills, ocean, and nearby buildings, with the airport, rail lines, and interstate roads being monitored, as well, based on a fear of accident or kidnap. Within 24 hours, the entire nation was aware of the case. Within 3 days, on the 29th of January, the Adelaide Sunday Mail led with a headline of "Sex Crime Now Feared," highlighting the rapidly evolving fear that they had been abducted and murdered by a sex offender. Despite this, the initial official reward was only £250. The Patawalanga boat haven was drained on the 29th of January after a woman told police that she had spoken with 3 children, who were similar in description to the Beaumont children, near the haven at 7 p.m. on the 26th of January. Police cadets and members of the emergency operations group searched the area, but nothing was found. Police investigating the case found several witnesses who had seen the children in Collie Reserve, near Glenelg Beach, in the company of a tall man with fair to light brown hair and a thin face, and in his mid-30s. He had a suntan complexion and a thin to athletic build and was wearing swim. The children were playing with him and appeared to be relaxed and enjoying themselves. The man also approached one of the witnesses, asking if anyone had been near the children's belongings, as their money was missing. The man then went off to change while the children waited for him. The group were then seen walking away together from the beach some time later, which the police estimated to be around 12:15 p.m. The Beaumont parents described their children, particularly Jane, as shy. For them to be playing so confidently with a stranger seemed out of character. Investigators theorized that the children had perhaps met the man during a previous visit or visits and had grown to trust him. A chance remark at home, which seemed insignificant at the time, supports this theory. Anna had told her mother that Jane had got a boyfriend down the beach. Nancy thought she meant a playmate and took no further notice until after the disappearance. A shopkeeper at nearby Wenzel's Bakery also reported Jane had bought pasties and a meat pie with a £1 note. Police viewed this as further evidence that the children had been with another person, for 2 reasons. The shopkeeper knew the children well from previous visits and reported that they had never purchased a meat pie before, and the children's mother had given them only 6 shillings and 6 pence, enough for their bus fare and lunch, and not £1. Police believed the money had been given to them by somebody else. According to an initial statement, the Beaumont children were seen walking alone at about 3 p.m. away from the beach along Jetty Road, in the general direction of their home. The witness, a postman, knew the children well, and his statement was regarded as reliable. He said the children were holding hands and laughing in the main street. Police could not determine why the reliable children, already 1 hour late, were strolling alone and seemingly unconcerned. This was the last confirmed sighting of the children. The postman contacted police 2 days after his initial statement and said that he thought he saw them in the morning, not the afternoon as he had previously said. A local resident, Miss Daphne Gregory, reportedly sighted the children at 3 p.m. with a man who carried an airlines bag, similar to one owned by Jane Beaumont. Several months later, a woman reported that on the night of the disappearance, a man, accompanied by 2 girls and a boy, entered a neighboring house that she had believed empty. Later, the woman said she had seen the boy walking alone along a lane where he was pursued and roughly caught by the man. The next morning the house appeared to be deserted again, and she saw neither the man nor the children again. Police could not establish why she had failed to provide this information earlier. Other reported sightings of the children continued for about a year after their disappearance. About 2 years after the disappearance, the Beaumont parents received 2 letters. One was supposedly written by Jane, and another by a man who said he was keeping the children. The envelopes showed a postmark of Dandenong, Victoria. The brief notes described a relatively pleasant existence and referred to the man who was keeping them. Police believed at the time that the letters could quite likely have been authentic after comparing them with others written by Jane. The letter from the man said that he had appointed himself guardian of the children and was willing to hand them back to their parents. In the letter a meeting place was nominated. The Beaumont parents, followed by a detective, drove to the designated place, but nobody appeared. It was some time later that a 3rd letter arrived, also purported to be from Jane, stating that the man had realized a disguised detective was present, and that he decided to keep the children because the Beaumonts had betrayed his trust. There were no further letters. In 1992, new forensic examinations of the letters showed they were a hoax. Fingerprint technology had improved, and the author was identified as a 41-year-old man who had been a teenager at the time and had written the letters a joke. Because of the time that had elapsed, he was not charged with any offense. In November of 2013, excavation was initiated in the back of a North Plimpton factory that had previously belonged to one possible suspect in the case, Harry Phipps. Further excavation at a slightly different location on the site was undertaken in February of 2018, but nothing relevant was found. The excavations were based on 2 men reporting that as boys they had been paid to dig a hole in that area at around that time, and also based on geophysical testing which had identified anomalous disturbed soil. Animal bones were found, but nothing was found in relation to the Beaumont children. During the investigation into Von Einem, police heard from an informant identified only as Mr. B. He related an alleged conversation in which Von Einem boasted of having taken 3 children from a beach several years earlier, and said he had taken them home to conduct experiments. Von Einem had said that he performed brilliant surgery on each of them, and had connected them up. One of the children had supposedly died during the procedure, and so he had killed the other 2 and dumped all the bodies in bushland south of Adelaide. Police had not previously considered Von Einem in connection with the Beaumont children, but he somewhat resembled the descriptions and identikits from 1966. The case attracted widespread police and media attention in Australia and beyond. The fact that the case has never been explained has led to the story being continually revisited by the media and by newer online sites. More than 50 years after the children's disappearance,